Hello, hello. How is everyone? How are you? Hi. Today I'm going to be talking about paper organization, how to store your papers, how to make sure that your important papers are protected and backed up, and all of that good stuff. So, if you have got questions related to paper storage, then feel free to drop them in the chat box. I hope you're all having a great week. I hope your week is off to a good start. So yeah, let's just dive in and talk about paper storage, organization, all of that good stuff. And I did bring like one of my files to show you how I have mine set up. So the first thing I'm going to assume, because I've spoken about this before, so I'm going to assume that you have already decluttered your papers. If not, that is step one, because there is no point really in organizing papers that you do not need to organize. That is just a huge waste of time. It's also going to be really difficult to find your important papers if they are buried underneath a pile of crap, papers that don't matter. So if you want more information on paper decluttering, I do have another video. I have several videos actually on that topic. And my new course, which is launching in 2 weeks, has a whole module dedicated to paper clutter and all of that good stuff. Paper clutter is a big sticking point for a lot of people. So good morning, Bonnie. How are you? Hi, Annika. So yeah, I'm going to go through kind of how I organize my papers, how I store them, and some different suggestions for how you could do it. I will show you one of my folders. I brought it up with me, and then I will go through how to, what to do with your important papers, how to make sure that they are safe and secure, and all of that good stuff. So the first thing, really, like each person's storage requirements will be different because each of us have different ways that we organize. For me, I prefer them in a small filing cabinet. So I have the Alex, I think it's the Alex unit from IKEA. And it's a like 4 drawer unit. The first 3 are just thin, like very shallow drawers. And then the bottom one is a filing cabinet. And that is plenty for me. Obviously it depends on how many papers you have, if you run a business or multiple businesses, how many people you're storing papers for. Like Sam looks after his own papers. So it really depends on how many papers you have for a start. And it also depends on whether you prefer your papers out or whether you prefer them hidden away. I prefer them hidden away. But some people are much more visual people. Like I am a visual person, but the clutter for me, seeing the papers out, does nothing for me. But I know for a lot of people, they prefer them out where they can see them. So get yourself like a little in tray that you can pop on your desk, or you can get those like magazine holders so you can like put them up, hang them on the wall, slip your papers in there. The main thing is to find a system that works for you, and you may have to trial something. Don't go out and buy a whole load of stuff. That's what I will say to you straight off the bat. Try different systems, like hack together something. I know when I first tried to put a system in place, I used one of those magazine folders, and like the standing ones, and I went out and bought some, and that was a big mistake because those do not work for me. I should have hacked it out of like a cereal box or something. So if you think like on your desk is where you need them, then cut up a cereal box and use it for a while and see if that works for you. So really try to figure out whether you are a person who needs to see them or whether you're a person who needs them behind a closed door or in a drawer or something. That is the first step. The next step then, and I've talked about this multiple times, but it is so important. It is to keep your categories very broad. So I wrote a list of the categories that I use. Some of these will be applicable to you, some of them won't, but it's just to give you an idea of how mine are categorized. So the first one, and I do them in alphabetical order, but I only have 8 folders. So if you've only got a handful, you really don't need to spend a lot of time, like alphabetizing them or whatever. If you've only got a handful and it's only going to take you a few seconds to look through them anyway. If you've got lots and lots, then yes, you could alphabetize or something like that. But the categories I have, the first one is certs. So in that I keep anything related to our identification. It's like birth cert, marriage cert, passports, all our like visa information, all of our green card information, anything that we would need to kind of prove our identification or our status, I guess. So don't feel that you need to like subcategorize down by like, birth certificates in one folder and then, whatever in another folder. Like I just keep them all in certs. And that does me fine. That's like a pretty broad category. The next one I have then is health. All our health insurance stuff, all our bills. If I pay a bill, I'll just write on it that I've paid it, in full on X date or whatever, and where the receipt is. So I'll say like email receipt. I got an email receipt. How I paid it, like which card I used or whatever. So yeah, one just for health. Again, do not subcategorize it or anything like that. It's just health. And then every time I pay a new bill or get in a statement or something, I just file it behind the most recent paper. Next one is insurance. Any type of insurance or warrant. It's mostly warranties, I have to say. Because like health insurance stuff, that will be a judgment call as well. Like for you, there will be some categories that will overlap. It's a judgment call. Ask yourself, if I were looking for this paper, where would I look for it? Would it make more sense for me to look in the health category, or would it make more sense to look in the insurance category? If you don't have a lot of insurance, you don't need a separate insurance. In fact, I'm considering like getting rid of ours, but I do keep a lot of warranties in there for like furniture and gadgets and the price valuation for my ring, stuff like that, anything that we have insured. So I keep that in a separate insurance folder. Next one is for property. So anything related to our home or our cars, I keep in there. Like surveys, valuations, service reports, all things like that, all kept in property. Next one is reference. Papers that I don't need out on my desk, but I do kind of reference occasionally, need to keep them on hand. There isn't much in there, so I could probably get rid of this category as well, but it's just handy for papers that I kind of access on a semi-regular basis. Thank you for all your comments and questions. As usual, on Mondays, I will get to them at the end. I will go back through them all. Next one is for rentals. We have rental properties in Ireland, so I just keep a separate one for that. I could put it all into properties, but I prefer to keep the rental stuff completely separate because we need it for, tax purposes. It's just easier for me if it's separate. Then I have one for Scout. Anything to do with her, let me see, like school reports, school important dates, anything like that. She's got like a bank account. I keep her bank account stuff in there. Just anything in relation to like her vaccinations, things like that are all kept in her individual file. Next one then is a someday folder, and you could have like a miscellaneous folder or something. Don't feel that you need to categorize every single piece of paper that you have. That is a big tip that I have for you. You will drive yourself mad. Like if you've got a piece of paper and you're not really sure where it goes and you're like, oh, should I create a new category for this? Could it go into this other category? Stick it in miscellaneous. Like if you've only got a small stack of papers that are miscellaneous, then feel free to just chuck them all in a miscellaneous category. Once again, like if you ever do need a piece of paper and it's only going to take you a minute or two to flick through everything that's in that folder, yeah, miscellaneous is totally fine. So I have a someday category that is filled, and I could probably condense this. I'm thinking of condensing this with my reference stuff, but the reference stuff for me is stuff that I kind of occasionally do reference, whereas the someday stuff is more of this is a project I would like to get to someday. This is something that I would like to work on maybe potentially in the future. So it's kind of more of a long-term reference. Like I may or may not reference this at some point in the future. And then the final one is taxes. I don't actually keep my taxes in my filing system. I keep them just in a drawer unit in my big Kallax, my big cube thing that you will know, and you'll be familiar with it if you watch my videos. So I wanted to show you, I brought up one and I've just hidden personal information, but I get these clear plastic envelope pocket type things, and I just put everything for the year in there. I get a little piece of paper, I write the year on it. This is 2014. And that's it. Everything then, as soon as I get in, as soon as I get a receipt or something that I will need for tax purposes, I pop them in here. A lot of my receipts and things, statements I get digitally. So my tax records are actually pretty slim. So this may not work for you if you've got like oodles and oodles of tax records. But for me, this works perfectly. I buy a new one for each year. Like I bought a stack of, I think there are 8 of them. So each year, and then it's really easy for me, like when a new year rolls around and I know that I can safely discard the oldest years, I have them all together in one folder. I just open this, I can shred everything all at once, then it's good to go. Then I flip this piece of paper around and I write the new year on it, and then I slip that into a new one of these. So yeah, and these are very inexpensive. Like you will get those like in a dollar store, or if you're in Europe, like a Euro store, Euro 2 or one of those. That is how I sort my taxes. That is a very simple way that I store my papers. Like I said, you do want to like declutter and whittle everything down first, because really there is no point in getting your shit together if you're just going to lose it all again. Like if you've got millions of pieces of paper that really are not important, you need to get rid of those, because it's going to make the process of finding what you need really, really difficult. So let's move on to kind of keeping your important papers. And then I will come and answer your questions and your comments and all of that good stuff. So really there are 4 main categories of things that you would need to keep, like different types of papers. The first one is anything that proves your identity or your status. So like I said, I have my certs folder. The next one then is anything legal, anything you need to keep for legal reasons, like taxes. What else might you need to keep? Like if you're in the middle of a court case or something, or you've got like a pending court case, or you know you'll have one coming up or something like that. Anything that you will need for legal reasons. And a lot of that will be ID stuff as well. Anything then related to, I like to call it accident or emergency. So any emergency information, and also anything like warranties, like if there is an accident, if something is damaged, broken, you will need those papers on hand. So I just call that the accident and emergency. If something terrible were to happen to someone or something, what would I need? And then finally, things that are irreplaceable. So those generally for me are like sentimental things. So those go in like tubs that are stored. I don't keep them in my regular filing cabinet. They are not papers that I would access on a regular basis or need close at hand. So that is another thing when you are going through your papers. If there are things that you don't need to keep, like you don't need to reference, like they're more sentimental, they're more memento, they're more nostalgic or something like that, those should be kept kind of off site. You don't need those close at hand. So pack them up with your sentimental stuff and put them away, in a plastic tub, something that is like waterproof. Yeah, those need to not be where you store your normal papers. Michelle, just very quickly, or where did you get the folder? I think I bought those in Euro 2. I bought them in Ireland, but I'm sure, like I'm reasonably confident that you would get those in like Dollar Tree or Staples or something for like $1, $2 each. So I just went and bought myself a stack of them years ago, and yeah, I've had them for years and years. So yeah, those are the 4 categories. Anything like that proves your identification or your status, anything that is related to legal stuff, anything you need to keep for legal reasons, any accident or emergency things, and then anything that is irreplaceable. But again, the irreplaceable stuff generally will be more sentimental and should be stored somewhere else, not with you like the rest of your regular papers. The next thing to do then, once you have identified your important documents, is to make a digital copy of them. So scan it, take a photograph of it. I don't have a scanner, but I have a scanning app on my phone. It's called Genius Scan. I believe it's free. I have an iPhone. I don't know if there's an Android version. Sure, there probably is. But yes, Genius Scan is the one that I personally use. So I feel comfortable recommending it. I've only used it a handful of times. I generally don't scan stuff, but sometimes I will need to, scan something and send it to somebody, and that's what I use. So scan it. You can easily use an app on your phone. Take a photo of it. to save it on your phone. That's a good one, particularly if you are traveling with like travel documents and stuff. If for some reason you lose your passport, anything like any of your travel documentation, at least having a picture of it on your phone will make things easier. Obviously, not a great situation to be in, but having a photograph of it and then save it in a particular folder on your phone, that's called reference or important papers or whatever. And then another one that I used to do way back in college is to email it to yourself. Um, I don't know why, but I always do this. Like, to me, that's just an extra backup. I also back up to like hard drives and stuff, and I'll come to that in a second. But for me, like, email is probably never going to go down. It is something that I personally have access to. So I feel much more comfortable emailing stuff to myself. And then if I lose all my photos, if my phone breaks and I don't have a backup of it or whatever, I still have access to it in my emails. And again, you can create a folder in your email, whatever email service you use, that says, important papers or important documents or whatever. So that is what I do. I would scan it, create like a PDF or something, email that then to myself, like attach it to an email it to myself, and also take a picture on my phone. That obviously depends on, like, you have to be conscious of security and stuff like that. But particularly if you are traveling or something and there are documents that you would need to access, that if you lost, you have the original copy or something with you, and if you lost it, like your passport or something, it always helps to have, and if you don't have internet access, so you can't get into your emails or whatever, at least just having a photograph. But obviously don't just be storing loads of like really confidential information on your phone if you have no like passcode or whatever. Always be security conscious in those cases. But those are some ways that you can very quickly and easily back up your like papers, pictures, PDFs, all that sort of stuff. For the original copies then, I would recommend, listen, I don't do this myself, so this is something that I also need to implement, but putting them in a fireproof safe. There are, like, I have copies of things, and they're all like in the cloud and in my email and stuff. But sometimes, oh, okay, it's back. YouTube is back. No, it's not. It says my connection is unstable. Please wait. Oh, am I back? Am I back? I bet this is because my husband is trying to use the internet downstairs. How dare he? Erin, thank you so much for that little sticker. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So yes, I was saying, like, if you keep your copies wherever you need them, but also keep the originals in a fireproof safe if you can. If the original is really important, keep it in a fireproof safe. This is something I need to do. So yeah, just be conscious of that, because there is no point in having multiple copies of something if the worst happens and there is a fire in your home or something and they're all lost in one go. So then, backing up your devices, I have external hard drives, and I also have like a cloud account. I'm very conscious of the fact, like, external devices are great because you can very quickly just connect them up to your laptop and have all of your stuff right there without taking up space on your laptop, because mine is full of, I have so many things, like between photos and video files and all of that sort of stuff. But I'm also conscious of the fact that hard drives are not like permanent, everlasting things. They will eventually die. They will die much quicker if you drop them or something, or they just get a hard knock. So I also back everything up to the cloud. The service that I use is Backblaze. Actually, I will pop a link. When I finish, I'll pop a link in the comments over on YouTube so that you can see. Not at all sponsored. YouTube has gone on me. Oh no, we're back. Are we back? YouTube is dodgy for me today, connection-wise. I will pop a link to the service that I use. It's called Backblaze. Not sponsored or anything. I'm just recommending what I use. And then once a month, I just connect up all of my hard drives. It does it kind of automatically once everything is connected. It will automatically back up everything. So as long as you are backing the stuff up at least once a month, it will stay in the cloud. It is $6 a month, I believe, for that service. But I can pop an affiliate link in the comments below the YouTube video. If you want a free month of it, try it out. And then I think I get a free month as well. But yeah, Backblaze is the service that I use. If you use a different one, great, whatever works for you. There were so many out there, I just picked one. Like, I didn't do a massive amount of research. But yeah, and then I would also remember, when you are backing up stuff, remember to back up your phone, because that is where you probably have most of your photographs, most of your contacts, all of that good stuff, and also your SD cards. So if you have cameras, camcorders, anything like that, those probably have like important photographs and things on them, little video clips. It's important to back those up too. I know when you're backing up papers and things, it can be very easy to forget about photographs. It can be very easy to forget about all of the paperwork that you have stored in PDF form somewhere that you don't actually have a hard copy of. It can be very easy to forget about like your photographs, your little video clips and stuff. Not technically paper, but if you were to print out, obviously, all those photographs and things. So that's everything. I'm going to go back through all of your comments and questions now. I hope the connection is holding up okay. Thank you everyone for joining. And it has a hanging file folder and an accordion file folder. Yeah, and they're relatively inexpensive. You could pick them up pretty much anywhere, but like Amazon will have loads of them as well. I bought my hanging folders, my file folders, and my filing cabinet. I'm reasonably sure, like 99% sure, that I bought them on Amazon. And like I said, very inexpensive. Michelle has been working on paper clutter this morning. Her car battery needed jumped yesterday. I needed a jump, so she was looking for a purchase order. Yeah, it's so like, that's why we have the property one, keeps all our house stuff and our car stuff in that one folder, and the odd time that we may need to refer to it. That's why you shouldn't go crazy with your subcategorizing, because chances are you probably don't reference your papers all that much. So you don't need to have them like subdivided down into teeny tiny categories. If your category is like this big, for the amount of times that you will reference them, it's fine to just take a few minutes. Like if it takes you a minute or two to go through them, that's fine. You don't have to like spend hours now trying to subcategorize them all. Michelle's a visual person, but a lot of paper stacks causes anxiety, so she guesses she needs to label. Yeah, I'm a very visual person too, but paper clutter, I can't. Like, that to me is just like visual chaos. I'm a visual person when it comes to like visual order. And I guess when thinking about scanning a lot of those papers, I would like to have it digitally so I can just search by keywords. Yes, like using a service like Evernote. I personally don't use Evernote. I've never liked it. I don't know why, but using a service like that, where you can scan something in and then search it, even if it's handwritten, as long as it's reasonably neat handwriting, they can generally Evernote can still read that. So yeah, and again, like the app that I use on my phone, Genius Scan, something like that. Can save them all as PDF in a PDF format, or just snap a picture. But I think PDF for me is just easier if I know I'll ever have to like send it to somebody or something. Ballerina has 4 categories: home, car, work, and then all other important documents. She's thinking of adding in one for the cats because there's actually a lot for them, including a bank account. Yeah, if you feel that like the extra category would help, then do it. It just depends on how often you would reference that stuff. I know if you're doing the KonMari method, she only has 3 categories. One is stuff that needs to be actioned. So I also keep like the top. So remember I was saying like the unit that I have has 3 shallow drawers. The top one of that I use as my paper in tray. So anytime I get in a bill that needs to be paid or a piece of paper that I need to do something about, I throw it in that top drawer. And then once a week, I go through and action all of the stuff. So in the KonMari method, she has the only 3 categories she recommends are action, short-term storage, and then long-term storage. So short-term, things that you will need to reference kind of in the reasonably near future. So like maybe a warranty or a guarantee on an item that you don't need to keep forever, but you do need to keep for a certain amount of time. And then long-term storage. So things that you will need to keep, like birth certificates, marriage certificates, all of that sort of stuff. So it really comes down to just keep them really broad, and then you can absolutely, as you're going along, like with, was it Annika? No, Ballerina, sorry, with the cats. You can add or subtract ones. Like I said, I'm thinking of condensing some of mine. Michelle's also planning on a vet category. Yeah, like think of the categories of things that you actually access on a regular basis. And listen, if you've decluttered all your papers and you only have this many papers, like total, shove them all in one category. Like the amount of times that you're going to have to flick through them is negligible. Ballerina, where do I stand on old insurance policies? I have my old car insurance documents and never know whether I should get rid of them. No idea why I need to keep them though. No, I don't. As soon as I get in new policy documents, I sometimes keep the old ones for a short amount of time, because, you know, if something broke and I just didn't realize that, sort of, and it would have been covered under the old insurance policy. So, and a lot of them will have like a grace period of 14 days or whatever, after which they expire, they're still in force, I guess, if you don't have a new insurance policy. But no, generally, once I get the new policy and I know that it's all paid and it has gone into full effect, I get rid of the old. I can't, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of any reason why you would need to keep an old insurance policy if you know that everything currently is working fine and you have a new insurance policy that is currently in place and effective. Bonnie, 2 weeks. Yes, the course is launching in 2 weeks. I am not at all prepared. Let me see. Michelle, hi from the Netherlands. Hello. Let me see. Jack May, how do you decide what's important to keep? Example, taxes and ongoing billing accounts with landlords or employment related. So again, I think about how irreplaceable it is. For me, there is very little that I cannot get a copy of by contacting a bank, by contacting an insurance company, by contacting a utility company. So generally, like taxes, you have to keep those for legal reasons. You need to keep them, and depending on what country you're in, you will have to keep them for a certain amount of time. So make sure that you check with your local authority or a local accountant or whatever. There will be very specific timelines for that. But I would think if you can access that information by contacting a company, I would personally get rid of it. If you want to snap a picture of it before you do, or like scan it or something, by all means, feel free. Let me mute, because my mother keeps texting me. So yeah, if it's irreplaceable and that you need to keep it for legal reasons, so I'll just go through the 4 categories again. The first one is identification, any type of certificate that proves who you are or like your status. The second one was, what is the second one? Oh yeah, legal, anything you need to keep for legal reasons, like your taxes. Anything that is related to an accident or an emergency, so like warranties, contact information, like in case of emergency stuff. That might be like medical stuff as well, like the medications that you're on, or anything that, you know, if you were brought to hospital or whatever, something that the team might need to know, allergies, things like that, and anything that is irreplaceable. Generally, I feel if you can get a copy of it elsewhere, you don't need to keep a copy yourself. It really depends. It really does depend. It's kind of a personal thing. For employment related stuff, I would say if you were getting like monthly paychecks or something like that, I would keep those for the year. I don't know how it works here, but in Ireland, at the end of the year, you get a tax statement that lists your income for the entire year and the taxes that you paid. And once I received that, I would look to make sure that it tallied with the 12 payslips that I had got for that previous year. And once they were fine, I would get rid of the payslips and just keep the tax cert. Bonnie says she uses those folders, those plastic folders, and she buys them at Dollar Tree. So there you go. Yeah, I bought them in Ireland, so I was reasonably sure you would be able to get them at Dollar Tree. Marta says paper sorting, she does in baby steps. She's got 40 categories in Excel. Each represents a physical folder, and then she writes whichever folder she has stuffed the paper into. Real sorting will wait. Yeah, that's like a step further than I would have taken it. But if you do have a lot of papers, that is a great way of doing it. Kind of listing everything in an Excel spreadsheet and then like cross-referencing with where you will actually find it in your filing system. If you have a lot of papers, that may be helpful for you, or if you find that you've got papers that you reference on a regular basis and can never seem to find them, that may be really helpful. Michelle says she's been interrupted with 2 phone calls. Don't people know she has a live with Laura? Live with Laura. She had a TV show called that. Annika has to go. Her department chair wants to talk to her. Thanks for your help. Have a great week. You too, Annika. Hopefully I'll see you back next week. Erin, thank you again for that little sticker. I really appreciate that. Beth made it to a live. She definitely needs this one. Papers is just a big sticking point for a lot of people, and I get it. Like, papers are so small. To like seem so innocent because they're so tiny, but they're like children. You know, they seem all sweet and innocent, but however, with the paper bills, do you keep or get rid of? I get rid of them. Once the bill is paid and then the next bill comes through that shows confirmation that the bill has been paid, or once I get some form of receipt that says that the bill has definitely been paid, then I get rid. Yeah, for me, like, all mine come in e-statements, so I don't actually have to get rid of them. They're all stored. I just have to log in and access, you know, be able to view the statement in my online account. But if you do get paper bills, yeah, I would just, when the next one comes in, or you get some form of receipt that confirms that the last bill was paid, I would get rid of the old one, unless you know that you are going to be applying for like a loan or a mortgage or something coming up soon where they would require something like that. But I think as long as you always have the most recent bill on hand, just in case you need to prove your address or something. That was really difficult when we first moved here because we didn't have anything with our name and address on it. So trying to open bank accounts or get a driver's license or something was like impossible almost, because we didn't have anything to prove our address because we just moved over. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. So I hope that is really helpful for you. Like I said, if you are still stuck in the decluttering phase of it, then definitely sign up for the waitlist for my new course, The Clutter Cure All. I will have a link in the description in YouTube, and if you're on Instagram, it's linked in my bio. It's launching in 2 weeks, and we go through like all of the categories that you will need to declutter. It's like top to bottom, your home, like from your attic down to your basement. Every category you will need to declutter, like your closet, papers, reading materials, kitchen, like just everything. I think there are like 14 or 15 different categories of things, and I go through each and every single one with like all the tips, all the advice. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to hop off now, but I hope you all have like a really great week. Honestly, I'm ready to tackle the week. The last few weeks have been so crap for me productivity wise. It's been tough. So I'm ready. I'm ready for this week. I'm ready to do it. Thank you so much. I hope you got some value out of this. I hope it was helpful. I know papers are a really awkward category. I know, believe me, I know. I have been there. I found it awful and horrendous and all things. So I get it. If you've got questions about it, you know, after I leave, hop over to YouTube if you're not already there and pop them in the comments, and I will go and leave a comment now with an affiliate link for Backblaze if that is a service that you do want to use, or at least try out. If you use my link, you will get a month for free, and then thereafter it is $6 a month. And if you do sign up with my link, I think I get a month for free. I've been paying for them for months, like I've used them for a while now. So yeah, thank you everyone. I hope you all have a great week, and I will speak to you very, very soon. Bye. See ya.